Hey, buddy.
Tim, what's up, bud?
Happy Monday. You're still not back. You're in Arkansas.
I'm still in Arkansas.
I texted you last night, and I was wondering, why does it feel like you've been gone for months? Like I haven't seen you.
Timmy, we're just having quality family time. We're doing all the things. We're taking a little bit longer of a trip because of the sabbatical this year. But most of all, we're remembering the fact that yesterday was Sunday.
And this right here, Andrew, is the morning after.
Eventually.
Sometimes that button does things, and sometimes it doesn't. Let's see if it does.
Welcome to the Morning After Ministry Show, a caffeine-fueled look back on the week and ministry that was.
Well, Andy, here we are. Yet another Monday. We're right on time. We're not late at all. This is perfect.
My wife this morning, because Timmy, I'm vacation moding. I am up late. I'm in the central time zone, so I have an excuse to sleep in even later. And I was up and making breakfast for the fam this morning, and she thought, "What in the world is going on?" And I said, "It's Monday. We owe a debt of time to the dozens and dozens of people that depend on us to go through the week in ministry that was." And about that time, we got a text from you saying, "Hey, I'm just now starting my workout. Want to skip today?"
And you said no.
I said, "Timmy, we can't. You are vacationing the next 2 weeks."
You're right. I then thought, oh no, if we skip today, we'll miss the entire month.
It'll be August.
Yep.
But Timmy, we've got just so much to talk about. And by that, I mean,
know.
I haven't been at church in 3 weeks. And
That's so weird. Is this the longest break you've ever taken from Safety Harbor at one time?
Yeah.
Wow.
It is very, very odd. It'll be 3 whole weeks away from the office. So it's good. I hope they're checking the mail slot that goes into my office, because sometimes people put things in there instead of the mailbox. So
yeah, that would be good.
You know, my office could have all kinds of surprises in there when I get back. I don't know.
So Andrew, what was your weekend like? Mine was filled with all things ministry. We'll talk about it in a second. But what's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday not having a whole lot of church responsibility?
Land. No church responsibility. So we had the whole family up here. Melissa's whole side of the family is up here, and one of her stepsisters had a baby at the end of May. And so little 5-week-old Jameson, so we got to meet him for the first time because they had come down from another part of the state. So we got to meet the baby. So lots of baby snuggling for Melissa. Abby's husband, my brother-in-law Colt, is my boy's probably favorite person in the world. He is a human jungle gym. And so my kids got to swim and play with their fun uncle while me and the other brother-in-law sat and watched as, you know, the younger, more athletic guy got beat up by the kids, and we were in the air conditioning. So that was great. And, you know, just all kinds of Arkansan stuff. My father-in-law bought the boys a Jeep go-kart. I mean, it's like a gas-powered go-kart.
That's real.
That's
serious.
You know, it's got three gears in reverse, so you got to, you know, shift while you're going.
Oh yeah.
And there's acreage out here, and so then the boys have gotten pretty good at it. But then they had Uncle Cole in the go-kart, so it's kind of like, you know, your first time on a jet ski with a girl, and you're trying. Well, it's been a while for either of us. I don't think there are many young ladies. You know, your first time on a jet ski with, you know what
that was a very random way to start that sentence, but okay, I'm listening. I don't remember my first time on a jet ski with a girl.
We both grew up in Florida. With the, you know, when you're on the jet ski and you're driving, you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna throw her off the back of the jet ski." You never did that.
I'm following. I get what you're saying.
So it was kind of like that with the boys driving my brother-in-law around in the Jeep, trying to get him to fall out of the go-kart at like 20 miles an hour. So we did that, and then
how many? Just curiosity's sake, how many girls have you been on a jet ski with for the first time? Like, is that? I had one girlfriend and I married her, so this just
3 or 4.
Did you throw all of them off the jet ski? That's just like what you do.
Oh yes, Melissa would not go on a jet ski with me after the first time. So
it's just the way you said it. It was like, this is so commonplace. Like, you know, like
it's a normal thing.
The first time you're on a jet ski with a girl, like, no, I don't know what that's like.
I grew up with lots of people that had jet skis, Tim.
Apparently.
We jet skied a lot. I grew up just, a few miles from the beautiful Tampa Bay. We had a, jet ski launch across the street from our neighborhood in Philippi Park. So we jet skied quite a bit growing up, and it's just what you do. It's
and you threw a lot of girls off the back of a jet ski.
If I'm driving, my goal is to see how quickly I can, do a donut and make you fly off the back.
Wow. And
for what it's worth, a few years ago, I took some of my boys out on the bay in a jet ski, and I immediately threw them off the back as well.
I'm proud of you. That's what you should be doing.
But that was Friday, Saturday, so lots of time in the pool. Also, there's a little arcade in Paris, which is about 20 some miles from here.
Those photos are great. Here. You guys do that every year, right?
It's a different arcade. So we used to go to a different one, and then that one closed. And then these people didn't even know that other one had existed. It's $5 all day, all you can play. So every machine is on free play.
How do they make money? That doesn't sound
because
right.
they own the building. It was their dad's computer repair business for 30 some years, and so they own the building outright. So it's just awesome.
Gwen says, actually, Andrew almost ran over some kids on a jet ski at Anna Maria Island way back in the day. You have some horrendous jet ski stories. Thanks, Gwen.
Her brothers had the jet ski that I learned how to throw people off the back of on.
I'm never, ever getting in the water near you when you have the power of a jet ski. Wow.
So we arcaded. We Arkansas'd. Sunday, yesterday, we went, and there's a swimming hole. So, yes, there's a pool in my in-laws' backyard, but a swimming hole with good old mountain river water. So it's nice and cold, and there's a cliff you can jump off. You can jump off the cliff into the deep part of the river there. So, we did all the Arkansas things this weekend, and I didn't have to preach or prep anything, and it was wonderful.
Did you hop on the live stream? I actually forgot to get on Safety Harbor's live stream. Normally I do when you're out of town, just to make sure things are going smooth.
I did.
Okay.
I did. So my alarm still goes off at my Sunday morning time, and I check and I make sure everything's I check the security camera to make sure the stuff is set up outside, so I don't have to send the text, hey, so I made sure all the stuff was set up, and then I messaged back and forth with Megan, who's running our live stream, and then I did the things. So we had I didn't realize this until he was confirmed to come and preach. So Bradley Shaw, the guy who I want to introduce you to, who's one of the campus ministers at USF, he's not in a preaching role, and I didn't realize that till he was confirmed to come in. So it was his first time ever preaching in front of more than a 15-20 person Bible study setting.
Oh,
and he did great. But so good. He was like, hey, just want to make sure you're cool with this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with it.
At this point, what else are we going to do? It's already been confirmed.
Yeah. So, but he did a great job. He was in Matthew chapter 7 and, kind of shared his testimony, shared what God is doing through the Cornerstone ministry there at USF. But so it was cool. I was able to check in on that live stream. And then about the time the sermon started, I plugged in the phone to the car and started driving to the church that I was visiting yesterday, which was the first church I would ever visit out here, which was by my in-laws' old house. And the reason I went there is because I saw a social media post last Monday that Landon Crouch was leading worship, one of our buddies from back in DYM days. I saw the
same post. I saw that post.
Yeah. And so he and I would get together all the time when he was out here. He was the youth and worship guy there. And so he and his wife were leading worship. They were just in town visiting. And I don't know if they were like, hey, do you want us to come lead worship? Or if the pastor reached out to them and was like, hey, our praise team's out of town or whatever it was. But it was just great. It was their first time being back at the church in more than 5 years. And so I gave him a quick hug, and then I kind of skedaddled because I didn't want to take up the time of the church members that he had loved and served all those years. But it was really, really cool. And also it was piano, or it was keyboard and guitar, and that was it. No loops, no tracks, no beds. It was just them, and they killed it. I was like, man, I think everyone that thinks you need to add to make something richer and more full needs to listen to that, because it was spectacular. I felt almost like I was like in a All Sons and Daughters set or something.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was great. What about you? What was your weekend? It was because this was your first weekend back preaching.
It was my first weekend back preaching. It was a very full week of ministry. We had our staff meeting on Wednesday, and when I say staff meeting, I mean staff meeting. We had our all hands on deck staff meeting, which is pretty cool.
There you go.
Even our part-timers showed up, all but one, so it was the largest staff meeting I've ever led in my life, which was kind of cool because we added 2 additional staff members this week, and they both came to staff meeting for the first time last Wednesday. It was fun. So after the staff meeting, our worship director, Sarah, she was like, so was that like weird for you? And I was like, I did feel like an adult. Like I definitely felt like a grown-up in that setting.
Did you have to wear sleeves for that? What's the protocol when you're leading staff meeting?
I wore my uniform, which is a Lakeview t-shirt. So now that we have so many different colored Lakeview t-shirts,
you can just go through the rainbow.
Yep. I have a different color for every work day of the week. So whenever any meeting I have or office time I'm in, I'm typically in my Lakeview t-shirt. I led the Devo. We spent some time praying, and we just talked about what staff meetings are going to be like moving forward, which, they're shifting a little bit because we were going from a really, really tiny staff to just a little bit of a larger staff. Not a massive staff, but when you have more people around the table, the danger is this could take a long time if you're not careful. So I'm setting agendas. I'm doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing when running meetings. So
all the things.
All good stuff. It ended up being awesome. I'm
proud of you, Timmy.
I'm stoked about our additional staff members. I can't wait to see, what God does in and through them over the next couple of months. It's awesome. Then on Friday night, Steph and I had a little double date. We took a young Lakeview couple out. Been trying to get together with them for a while, so that was cool, getting to go out to dinner with them. Saturday morning, men's prayer breakfast, which it's supposed to be a holiday weekend, and we packed out the room, which doesn't make sense to me. So are we just going to say that last weekend was the holiday weekend and not yesterday?
I don't know. It's kind of, and we're doing the same thing for Christmas this year because Christmas is on a Wednesday.
That's
weird.
This
middle of the week holiday weekend thing is confusing. So the past several years we've done the 4th of July weekend service.
Oh yeah.
In the fellowship hall because we're like, hey, it's going to be a smaller group, and this year with it being the middle of the week, we didn't do that, and then the Sunday after Christmas is going to be like 5 days after Christmas. So how far after Christmas can you get before people are like, wait, nope, we're back into the swing of things?
I think that one will be easier because it's in between Christmas and New Year's, and usually like the week in between Christmas and New Year's is just weird and a time warp anyways.
Zombie time.
Yeah. Yep. So we did our men's prayer breakfast on Saturday, which went really well. And then on Sunday, Andrew, you'll be so proud. We actually finished what we started. We completed all 12 chapters of the book of Ecclesiastes. 20 weeks, 6 months, and it's done. We made it through.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
It was not easy. There's just something about lingering in one book for a long time. I don't know if I get more comfortable, but when you're studying, that author, that book, you're using kind of the same commentaries. The writing gets a little bit easier every week. The flow is smooth. It becomes a lot of fun to preach one book of the Bible for an extended period of time. So bittersweet. I'm gonna definitely miss being in the book. It'll be nice to do something different, but boy, was it a lot of fun spending like that much time in not even a terribly long book. Like 12 chapters isn't, a ridiculously long book, but we spent a good bit of time in there. It was fun.
So what is your preaching schedule? Because you are gone
Yep.
I know you've got a brother trip next Monday.
Yep.
And then you've got a family trip coming up. So how many of the next few weeks are you preaching? How many are you out?
It's a weird schedule for a couple of weeks for me. I'm on this Sunday, but we're doing a Vision Sunday, so it'll be similar to like a mid-year update / meeting, pseudo meeting. I will have a text. I will preach, sort of, and then we'll give a full mid-year update as well as a vision casting time where we're going to look to the next 3 months. We'll talk about the 3-service launch. We'll talk about where we see God leading us in the next 3 years. And then we'll spend quite a bit of time in prayer, which will be fun. So guided prayer at the tail end of the sermon, which we already do every week, but this one will be extended specifically about the future and the direction of Lakeview Church. So I'm on stage this week, and then I will be off stage for 2 straight weeks.
Okay.
So back-to-back
you've
weeks.
got 3 weeks before a new series launches, though.
Ish. So here's what's happening. Vision Sunday. Then we're going to do a 3-week mini-series on church leadership. Sam Redkin, our lead elder, is preaching on deacons, on elders, and then when I come back, I'm preaching on the role of the church, the members, the staff, how we all work together with the leadership and what that looks like. Then, after that 3-week mini-series, we have a guest preacher coming in. You know him, good friend of ours. Excited to have him in town for the weekend. And then we will kick off 35 weeks through the book of 1 Corinthians.
That's a lot of weeks.
It's not the longest. The book of Acts still holds that record. Yeah. I think Acts holds the record for the longest sermon series we've ever done. That one was 50.
So you are going 35 weeks. So are you going to take a break for Advent?
Yeah.
Because I know we talked last year about...
We will do an Advent break this year. So we'll do 1 Corinthians all the way up to Advent. We'll do an Advent-specific series, and then New Year we'll kick back into 1 Corinthians. And then the only break we'll take will be Easter. And we'll just keep plugging away.
I'm trying to do the math in my head. And so you'll have, a third before Advent, a third. Well, I don't know when Easter is this year, so you'll have 5 or 6 weeks left after Easter.
Yep, depending on guest speakers and Easter and special things that happen here and there, it could be it could be closer to this time next year when we finish 1 Corinthians, just depending on how long things take. But I'm excited to jump in. City Lights Church. Hey, if you're looking for a great church up in the Scranton, PA area, check out City Lights Church. Here's why.
A holiday.
It's always a holiday in Scranton. Matt Bennett says, please have Sam dressed just like you. So Sam will be in a pair of... Look, I've gotten better about skinny jeans. They're not terribly skinny anymore. I'm a little bit older, so they're a little bit looser. However, he will be required to wear some sort of...
changed.
There needs to be a Hawaiian-esque print on his shirt, so that's definitely going to happen. I'll make sure he does that. Brittany says, I was waiting for the just kidding on the 35 weeks, and I was like, oh, he's not kidding. Okay, I love it. So I made this announcement yesterday in church, and there was kind of like is he serious? Like, we're going to do 35 weeks. And I was like, okay, I guess, yep, we're going to do 35 weeks in 1 Corinthians. So it's all coming, buddy.
It's a lot of weeks.
What do you typically do in between series? I debated, like, do we go right into the next book? Do we take a little breather, some time to process? And since it's the summer, I wanted to launch 1 Corinthians when school was back. Like, that was always the plan. I just wasn't quite sure when we would wrap Ecclesiastes, because there was some weeks where I thought we'd get through more, and we just didn't quite get through as much as I thought we would. So this 3-4 week hiatus in between books makes sense for us. And there's also there's the youth pastor side of me where I love bringing in new things correlated to the school year. Like, it just feels fresh.
Yeah.
It's a new beginning. It's a new year. Start something new school year, etc.
But the school year just starts at such a random time now.
I know, it's weird.
Labor Day to Memorial Day calendar just doesn't make sense anymore.
No, because we're first and second week of August this year.
All thanks to standardized testing, but that's another podcast led by other people. So we finished the James series that we were in the week that I left. Then we had 2 weeks of guest preachers. Then we're going to do 6 weeks in the parables in Matthew. And part of that is because it's that time of year when everybody's traveling. And so it's it's a pseudo series, if you will, kind of like we did summer in the Psalms a few years ago, where it's hey, here's the common theme that we're going through, but you don't need to be here. If you weren't here last week, you don't need to, catch up to participate in this Sunday's message kind of thing. So that's what we're going to do with the parables for the next 6 weeks. And then we've got a guest preacher in the middle of that. And so that just seems like it's the easiest way to kind of have a little bit of make it feel cohesive, but know that it's still that time of year when everybody is just scattered.
Yeah, this is... we had originally planned for Ecclesiastes to be done a little bit sooner because I thought the same thing. I like the idea of a summer series that's a theme, but not necessarily, hey, if you missed last week, you missed out. But it just didn't quite work out that way this year, so it's just one of those things. Brandon's wondering, how's life? It's good. Thanks, Brandon.
Life's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want it to be like a police procedural drama where, you can know the characters and show up without the previously on Lost. And then you have to know everything that happened the week before because, summer, man.
That was the weird part about doing the close. Like, it was a big close for Ecclesiastes in the middle of summer. It was like, hey, this might be your first time, but we've been, marching through this for 6 months. So I had to do an abbreviated wrap up of the entire book and then get to, Solomon's final cry, which was, fear God, obey his commands. That was like the summary of all Ecclesiastes. That's the point of life. John's wondering, how's that challenge coin doing? How is that challenge coin doing? You're going to have to refresh my memory, John. It's been a long summer. CJ says we started Matthew.
Is he talking about the Taylor Swift challenge coins?
Maybe.
Isn't that a thing right now?
It could be. CJ says we started the book of Matthew the week after Easter. I told the church it would be about 16 weeks. Yeah, right, dude. You're not getting through Matthew in 16 weeks. No way. We are just in chapter 5. Undershot that one by a bit, but we've had 16 baptisms. Hey, I like that number. I like that number. Oh, John, that coin? Yeah, I still got that, dude. Yeah, he gave me a coin. He gave me a coin before he left. It's actually been in my pocket on most Sundays. So, and fun fact about that coin, John, I didn't take it out of my pocket and it got washed, so it's a very clean coin now. Went through my washer and my dryer. Brandon says, haven't checked in since the draft. Better record, my Bears or your Jags. I'm in Knoxville now. Look, Brandon, I'm feeling actually pretty good about the Jags. Here's why I say that. Because anytime the media and the world is hyped up on Jaguars football, which if you remember this time last year, the Jags were projected to win 11 games. They were projected to win the division, yada, 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 go deep in the playoffs. I was excited. I was excited. But I knew from a historical perspective, sometimes it's good to take a step back and look at history. Historically, when the Jags are built and pumped up from the outside, they collapse on the inside. However, when everyone tells you you suck and you're going to do nothing, they tend to have a better season. So I'm going to go with that for this year. Jags will win 11 games this year. Your Bears will be lucky to win 8. That's just what I'm feeling. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I have a good feeling about where we're at. I'm excited. As you can see, I'm back into my Jags gear. Obviously not wearing any of my Rays gear right now. Sorry, Andrew.
I don't want to talk about that. I have a very precocious 10-year-old who has, like, he wants to, I think he's trying to set himself up as an NFL YouTuber. I think he wants to, be the new Chefster or something. Yeah. And he's convinced that the Bears are just going to have a great season. So There you go.
Okay, Dana
Timmy,
says,
guys
did you
had some
keep that?
baptisms this Sunday?
We did, but Dana says, did you keep that little Jesus with you at camp? Dana gave me a little like mini Jesus figurine to take to camp. Here's the funny thing about that: they were everywhere. Like, I was like, oh, this is a thing. So like, I was finding the little mini Jesus figurines that I had on me. She had, for some reason, they were just kind of hanging out everywhere, which was really, really funny. Brandon says, how would you handle this? Good question for us. I've reached out via Facebook to all the youth workers and received 2 responses. What would you do about that? It was like a group of 60 people. I mean, you got 2 responses. It's summer. It's tough. Maybe Facebook message wasn't the best avenue for some of them. I don't know. It's a weird time right now, but you got 2 responses, so I mean, you could at least start somewhere. Andrew, thoughts?
Yeah, Facebook message is. I don't know that there's a better medium, but I don't know that it's one that's the big.
Brandon says it's a youth workers in Knoxville. So really, what Brandon's trying to do, and I totally get this, he's trying to build relationships with the area youth pastors. And honestly, dude, like 2 is a pretty good number. Because
and a crowd's going to draw a crowd. If it's coffee with those 2,
if it's drivable and you can meet with them, Andrew and I, we really only have 2 other pastors that we meet with regularly. So, I mean, we have other pastors in our circle for sure, but like on a regular basis, there's only a handful of us that meet regularly. So I don't think 2's all that bad, to be honest with you. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's a good start. City Lights Church
it's better
coming in strong. Shame them. That's one option. Again, if you're looking for a great church, they're not going to shame you if you go there. But if you don't respond to a Facebook message, they might shame you. So, CJ says, I'm over in Irwin. There you go, Brandon. It's East Tennessee. If you want to make a little bit of a drive, you could absolutely, you could do that. Irwin.
Timmy, you're talking about the mini Jesus figures. The other week, my oldest, who commandeered what was the office room to become his bedroom about 2 years ago, but there's still a desk and stuff in there that hasn't been gone through in years. When I was leaving our church in Texas, someone gave me like a gag gift, and part of that gag gift was, do you remember there was like the very, I don't even know how to describe it, the white Jesus that would be on all the candles. But a nightlight of that looking Jesus who with like the long flowing extra conditioner in his hair. So someone gave me a nightlight of that Jesus icon as part of a silly gift that was in a gift basket. And I had that in a drawer in a desk for a decade plus. And I guess Landon was bored and going through that desk a few weeks ago and thought, hey, this is awesome. And has had a Jesus nightlight. He's 14. He doesn't sleep with a nightlight, but thought that the Jesus nightlight was just extra cool and didn't quite understand the irony of why I had a Jesus nightlight. And so he's just rocking a Jesus nightlight in his bedroom now.
Nothing wrong with that.
As
Jesus is the light, so it works out well.
Yeah, it's the light of the world.
Dana says, I love that. Keep a little with them. It's great knowing that he is everywhere. He is always with us, whether he's tiny, average size, or, the king of the universe. He's always there, which is great. Yes, City Lights Church says your options were a little bit better than mine. Yeah, that's right. But again, if you're looking for a great church in the Scranton, PA area, it's electric. You know what to do.
Go check it out. Tim, the little Jesus makes me think of the Dear Baby Jesus prayer in Talladega Nights. I started watching that on Netflix.
Same thing.
Not like while I was up here in Arkansas. I want to say, I don't know. The youngest, he's 8, and his older brothers were picking on him, and he was upset. And so I said, buddy, would you feel better if I let you watch a very inappropriate movie? And he said, yes, that would make him feel better. So I started watching Talladega Nights with my 8-year-old and quickly realized that was a huge mistake.
You turned that off.
But should have turned it off. But he has now been yelling, I want to go fast every time he gets in the car. So that's something. So we're parenting very, very wisely over here.
CJ says, speaking of white Jesus, we're about to finish a section of our building we need for kids' min space. There's a huge mural of white Jesus being baptized by white John, where we will be remodeling. It is going in the trash. Good luck.
$5 says at least one of them has blue eyes, because,
sacrificing a sacred cow that is white Jesus and white John. Have fun with that, CJ.
I feel like those would be terrible Twitter handles, but we can.
I'm sure they
try
exist.
To scoop them up.
I'm sure they exist. Andrew, we celebrated some baptisms yesterday.
Sure.
It was.
You did?
It was fun. I think what's happening now, my favorite part about Baptism Sunday isn't just the Sunday, which is awesome, but what I've started doing is I've started personally calling everyone who's getting baptized, and not just explaining what we believe about baptism, what the Bible teaches about baptism. I do all of that too, but also just asking them, what led you to this point? I want to hear your story. Like as long as it takes, as short as it takes, I'm open. I just kind of block out quite a bit of time to hear the stories. And the two guys that got baptized this week, Josh and Larry, both of them just those testimonies that you're like, that is awesome. Like, that's awesome. Like, one of which was, man, I was so far away from God. I was trying to get further away, and he wouldn't let me get further away. Like, those those really awesome stories of just God intervening. It wasn't Lakeview. Like, it wasn't, something awesome happening at Lakeview. It was before Lakeview. It was actually at another church in our area, which I love. They just happened to move up our way and find Lakeview not long ago and wanted to get baptized. So it was a ton of fun getting to hear the stories of how God's worked and moved. Sometimes Lakeview is involved, which is great, and sometimes Lakeview's not involved, and I'm totally cool with that. So, ton of fun. Good Baptism Sunday.
Were you tempted to turn the beach trip, because you guys had like a Lakeview beach trip?
That was like impromptu, but yes.
Saturday, Sunday, when was okay?
That was last night.
Were you tempted to try to turn that into a baptism thing?
Well, it's interesting because
the baptisms.
We had one of our young couples reach out and say, "Hey, are we going to do beach baptisms soon?" I'm like, well, we could, like, if that's like a need and we want to do that, we absolutely could. So then my family, we were already planning on going to the beach last night, and then we heard about the young adults and the young marrieds of Lakeview Church also going to our favorite spot on Honeymoon Island, North Beach, but you walk a little bit further north to make sure that you're away from the people. And there was a great crowd. There was like 30, 40 young adults, young marrieds that just showed up, hung out, played some very athletic sports that I was like, I'm not that good at that anymore. I played some can jam, but spike ball I'm just not very good anymore.
Spike ball, you got to move a lot for spike ball. That's why can jam is spectacular.
I was winning most of my game in can jam, and the other team had one final throw, and they sunk an instant win to beat us. So that was devastating.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It's okay. The young adults are cooler than I am.
That makes it rough.
I know.
So are you guys going to do another beach night and do beach baptisms?
It's possible. There's been a request, so I thought, man, if there's enough people that are interested, why not? That'd be a ton of fun. Especially when the water's,
there you go.
like 90 degrees.
90 degrees. Yeah, my father-in-law has the chiller on his pool because
we need it. It's
Arkansas, so it's like 110 degrees.
Yep.
And so the pool is chilled down to 85, and I got to tell you, it's a little bit cold when you jump in. But
I'm fine with 85 right
chiller,
now. Keeping my pool below 90 is very difficult.
Here's the weird thing. We are Floridians.
Yep.
We deal with storms all the time. But now that Melissa and I are up in Arkansas, the remnants of this hurricane that hit Texas is now, like, it has started to rain since I have been recording with you.
Oh,
and now I've got to walk about
I did see that track. It was coming your way.
So we've got rain for like the next 30 hours. So should be exciting. Just
will you have any winds, or is it just rain?
I think, winds are going to max out about 10 or 15 miles an hour, so not bad.
Yeah.
Nothing undrivable. So I think we'll do one last arcade day on Tuesday before we head back home. But it kind of stinks that we did all of our river rock climbing and jumping before the storm, because the river is going to be flowing come Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's going to be sweet.
The weird thing is I mean, it's been like 100 well, I think it's been in the high 90s most days, but it's gotten to like 106, 107 since we've been here. And because of the storm, the high tomorrow is 78. It's really weird. So,
Pete,
nothing like an Arkansas hurricane to.
I wasn't gonna say anything, bro. It was my fault too. Pete Polis was my partner in Can Jam. We were doing so well. Pete throws a disc about 200 miles an hour, so I had to like brace myself every time that disc was flying. It was wild, but he was unbelievably accurate. My throws were all over the place. Not your fault, totally mine. I'm calling for redemption, so we're gonna have a rematch. We will have this rematch at Lakeview Church right after church, maybe even next week. It's just time.
And Can Jam at the Lakeview property will not be as affected by the wind as playing on the beach.
Dude, the beach wind was wild.
There's gusts of.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
It's a great game, Can Jam.
It's so good, dude. So good. Oh, I love it. Andy, I got work to do. This is my last week before I take off for 2 weeks, so I've got a lot to get done.
I've got to wrap up a vacation and then, get back to preach on Sunday. But Timmy, I'll see you maybe in August or something. I don't know.
It's going to be so long. We'll see each other before then. We'll FaceTime even if it's not on the show. We'll see each other.
Thank goodness, because you know how I worry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a few weeks off, but we will see you in just a couple of weeks back just before school starts, which is really weird to say.
We'll be ready to discuss the weeks and ministry that was.
Wow.
And we hope you'll be here for it.
Yep, love it. All right, guys.
Carry on.